I have been with Keller Williams for 15 years. I started out as an agent, like many of you that are on the call tonight, and I was a team leader in multiple different market centers, a general manager, and now I'm the OP of 6 different market centers in the Virginia's region. So some of you guys have put in Maryland. I actually live near Annapolis, Maryland. And I have 3 small children under 5. And so don't be surprised if someone comes busting through the door tonight at some point. Just giving you fair warning on that. But I've been in this business a long time for straight out of college, and lead generation is one of my favorite topics to talk about today. So let's go ahead and get started. We're probably going to go about hour and a half or so as I went through the material this week. It's going to be based on questions and kind of interaction, and I love interaction. None of you guys want to sit up here and just listen to me lecture for the next 2 hours. This is one of the most important topics, I would say, in our business, because if we don't have leads, we don't have anybody to work with. And so I'm glad to see this many people on the call tonight. What I wanted to ask is, if you can come off mute, I would love to hear some people's opinions on what they're hoping to get out of this call tonight. Is there a lead gen thing where you're stuck on? Is this a general idea around lead generation in the business? I'd love to have a few people maybe just come off mute and begin the conversation about why is this class something that you're spending 2 hours on a Wednesday evening?
Sure. Specific techniques on how to develop new leads outside of paid leads. So where to position yourself, how to discover new clients outside of your sphere of influence, things like that mainly.
Awesome. Thanks, Kenneth. Where are you from? When you come off mute, if you're going to speak up, I want you to get the ability to say your name and where you're from, what market you serve. Where are you from, Kenneth? Oh, you remuted yourself, my man.
Okay, can you hear me?
I gotcha.
Okay, cool. Raleigh, North Carolina, the Cary market.
Awesome. All right. So thanks, Kenneth. We're going to talk about that for sure. This is one of those businesses that leads are everywhere. It's not about like sitting in some cold room with a phone calling a bunch of people you don't know. That's not the only way to lead gen, right? And so we're going to talk about some fears around lead gen today, and then I'm going to give you some ideas around the communities you're already involved in, and maybe some new ideas about where we're going to generate leads from, right? And I heard you say paid lead sources. There's all sorts of lead sources. Start writing them down today, because there's going to be a time and a place where you go, man, I don't know if I can do this business, or I don't have enough business. I used to write down every lead gen idea I ever heard in the back of a notebook. And at some point that became like 30 different pages. And the struggle became, actually, I can't do all of these. I've got to pick a few of them and get really good at them. But to me, there's no lack of ideas about how we can generate leads in this business. All right. Sam, I see your hands up. Go ahead.
Hey Kyle, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
So I was kind of hoping to get something out of this class. I've lived outside the States pretty much my whole life, and I just relocated back here about 3 months ago. And community and networking is something I don't have. I'm still trying to build up on it, 3 months and going. So I
Yep.
wanted to see if someone like me, where do you start to generate leads when you don't really have a community that you're aware of?
Perfect. Love that. I started my business in a marketplace. I didn't know anybody but the 2 guys I went to college with. And it was actually a really freeing thing for me, because I was a little bit worried about going and meeting with people that I didn't know very well, or I knew very well and I didn't know what I was talking about. I actually reversed it mentally and just said, nobody knows me here. Let me just go for it. All right. So I'm going to give you some really good, maybe some business to business ideas about how we bring value to people around us. And I think in turn that can turn back into some good lead gen for you, the agent. So thanks, Sam. I just wrote that down. We'll make sure we hit on lead gen in a market where maybe you don't have a lot of connections. Is that the best way to put it?
Yeah, that's about it.
All right.
Or no,
And
no connections at all.
I see you're from New Jersey, Clifton, Bergen area, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Sarah, go ahead and let us know what you're looking for.
Hi. So I am from Nashua, the Nashua Market Center. I'm a newer agent. I just started calling FISBOs, and I want to call expireds as well. It's been going okay. I've got a few appointments out of it, but I want to know how I can handle objections. I don't know if you go into that much detail.
Yeah, there's going to be about 3 or 4 courses in a row that's all going to be about lead gen, because that's the basis of our business, right? So we're going to hit it at a high level today. We're going to start talking about why our database is important, how many people are we trying to get in a database, and then you guys are going to get deeper and deeper into this conversation. So let's see where we get today. But I love objection handlers, meaning what I find is most clients have the same 4 or 5 objections, whether you're on the buyer side or seller side. True or false?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you learn the scripts and dialogues to handle those objections, you actually start to listen a lot better than think about what you're going to say. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
I'm all about internalizing those dialogues, and we're going to start to hit those today. And if we have some time at the end, I'm good to play kind of hot potato, which is you throw me an objection and I'll just start spitting out what I would say to you if you were a client of mine and we were working together.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then I see one more hand raised. I'm trying to see who that is. Sarah, you just went. I had another one there, but Rachel, is that you? Go ahead, Rachel.
Well, I'm a new agent, so I'm just working on getting everything together. All I have in my area is my husband and daughter.
Yep.
I don't have any family, co-workers, and that's how I'm getting my appointments now is co-workers.
Perfect. We're gonna hit on that early today, which is you have a sphere of influence. There's a group of
Yes.
people around you that already know you and like you and trust you. Those are a great group of people to make sure that they know what you do in this business. Okay. Now, I'm also going to be honest with you today. I think there's an inner circle who knows too much about you and knows that you're brand new. And I want you to be careful about trying to put all your eggs in their basket, because those are the types of people who are going to say, hey, prove it to me. And once you prove it to me, I'll work with you. Right. But you can't just expect a handout from somebody because you went and got a real estate license. Does that make sense? This is the biggest transaction of someone's life. Typically, you need to know what you're doing. And so when I see people go on these Facebook mastermind pages and say, oh, my best friend bought and sold with somebody else, should I still be their friend? It drives me crazy, because that means you didn't earn the right to represent them and or you didn't communicate properly with them. Okay. So I think this is a professional business and you have to handle it that way. And we're going to talk about some different topics on that. All right. Amanda and then Raquan. I think I'm saying that right. Let me correct me if I'm wrong. And then let's go ahead and get started. Okay. So Amanda, go ahead, and then we'll go to Raquan.
Rachel, I was the same way. I live in southern Minnesota now, and all of my family and my sphere of influence is in either Illinois, Michigan, Mississippi, and Texas. And you just have to go after it. You've got to want it, and you got to be hungry for it. And you will get there. Trust me, you will get there. If I can do it, anybody can do it. And please feel free to reach out and we can kind of, network or something.
Absolutely. Yeah. Find some script partners on here. Find some accountability partners. That's what I love about Keller Williams is, it's 6:00 at night. We're on a call sharing with each other, right? To make sure that all of our businesses grow. So go find those people, go find your tribe. And if some of those people are on this call today, I love that. All right, Raquan, take us home here, and then we're going to jump into our content today.
Hey, how y'all doing? My name is Raekwon Farrell. I work with the KW Collective here in Maryland. My thing is for Legion, well, I agree with everyone else that I don't really have, like, I went through my contacts. It's, you know how they say, reach out to all the people that you have in your contacts. My contact list is not that very big, honestly.
Yep.
So I find myself going through that already. And then the next thing is just knowing what to say to the people to actually make that turn that lead gen into an actual sale. Because I feel like you can lead gen, but if you don't sell them or like get them hooked into what you're stating or whatever the cause may be, they may go with someone else.
Awesome. All right, so it sounds like we need to really make sure we hit that topic today about how do we go meet people that we maybe don't know yet, right, or don't know us, and how do we go build that relationship? And sometimes they happen really quickly, and you walk in. I'm going to tell you guys a story. I walked into I will tell you the story in tonight's class, but walked into a Payless shoe store, sold a house to the manager. Never expected to walk into a shoe store and sell a house to somebody. And vice versa. There's people that have been in my database for 7 or 8 years before they transact with me. Just because they don't always talk back doesn't mean that they're not listening. I want you to hear me on that, because people can be in your database for a long time, and maybe you're not communicating, but they're watching and they're listening. All right. All right, perfect. Let's go ahead and jump in. So this is Ignite. The way they have it structured, this is actually session 5 in Ignite, but we have it lined up in a different way. Generate your leads. Does everybody have their packet? When you registered, you should have gotten your participation packet. If you don't have it, I'm going to try to drop it in the link here, but follow along to the slides and pay attention. Let's have some fun. I love that Amanda came off and kind of started to give us some of her advice. let's make this interactive. If you have something to add to this conversation, or if you've been in someone's shoes before, let's share those different experiences. All right, generating leads. So in Ignite, we really go over 4 main different sections, right? So 4 main sections to Ignite. There's real estate expert, lead generation, lead follow-up, and transaction. So who was on the class last night? Anybody want to raise their hand? Who was on the class last night? All right, give me 2 people. Give me your biggest ahas or takeaways from yesterday. I saw a couple raise their hands. All right,
You
Brielle,
don't
go
need
ahead.
a reason.
What do you mean, Roman? What do you mean? Expand on that for me.
Basically, you don't need to wait for perfect time or perfect motive, perfect reason to get out, interact, engage, reconnect with people. Somebody was asking, so do I call on the first time and say right away, I'm doing real estate, keep me in mind? No, that's not, because then right away you become the car sales manager. You know, you become that person that, like, you got to leave from the parking lot with a car. But reconnecting, we don't need the reason. I've been probably myself. I've put myself in these shoes. I waited sometimes for that perfect moment. Oh, it's too late. It's weekend again. Let's start from Monday. Damn, it's school. It's too early. I'll call them after work. Now they're probably family time.
Yep.
I mean, this way we're probably gonna go back to jobs. You know, it's not a business approach. Definitely, business
Yep.
doesn't care, but we need to strategize and just go take action.
One of my mentors told me one time, you contact people too much, you're annoying. You contact them too little, you're not professional. And so you got to find that balance. But I 100% agree with what you just said there, that there's no perfect time. Progress over perfection all day long. I know people that are not as talented maybe in their business, but are kicking people's butt in their GCI because they do it consistently and they just go and do it, right? And I'm going to tell you some stories today of, you know, I've been there where maybe some of you are going like, man, am I cut out for this? You are cut out for it. We're going to help today identify like what you can do really well and go for it. All right. That's why we're here. All right, Brielle, what you got? And then we're going to go to Tyler and then we're going to move on. Brielle.
Okay, yes. Hello. I'm based in the Maryland area. And what I learned yesterday was the importance of really building your network. Oftentimes, as realtors and as agents, people reach out to you for something that isn't directly to selling or, I guess, even buying a home. But it's still important to know that you are in their network of trust. And maybe who knows, in the future, you can get a transaction from that.
100%. Love that. I also want you guys to start expanding your brain a little bit about how you become more valuable than the other realtors around you. If everyone's offering the same commodity, why would they choose you over somebody else? You realize that like there's a lot of things that happen underneath somebody's house, right? Having a great vendor network is huge. How can you be more valuable than the person standing next to you? All right. And that's how I think about my business because it's competitive. But if you create a great value proposition, you should be talking to as many people as you can, and you'll find people that meet that value proposition. Thanks, Brielle. Tyler, what you got?
Hey, how you doing? So my biggest takeaway from last night was being committed to my career and the processes rather than just being interested in that.
Ooh,
So
love that.
yeah.
How have you thought about it the last 24 hours? What do you need to change to go from interested or committed?
Axel.
Guys,
So
make sure you stay
I
on
think
mute.
the biggest thing I need to change is being committed to my calendar. Sticking to my systems, my schedule. And that's where I'm going to start.
Good. Love that. All right, Jim, you got a thought?
Yeah, the importance of having systems in place and using that to push through those times where you just don't want to. And I ended up, first time I've actually been doing phone calls was today. I had a great 20-minute conversation with a guy I hadn't talked to in 5 years.
Yeah.
And not that he has anything immediately, but it was just really good to rekindle that relationship. And, you know, he could be a referral source in the future.
Absolutely. I've gotten off calls like this in my life, and I've called a client I haven't talked to in 5 or 6 years, and like, man, where have you been? We've missed you. And I'm like, what did I wait so long for? Right. So I think a lot of this is in our head. And I think that's one of the things we're going to talk about today is like getting over the fear sometimes of reaching out to people. You know, what I always tell people about lead gen is like, even if you got a robo call today about life insurance and you weren't interested in life insurance and you decided to like hang up that phone, did that like ruin your day? Or did like 10 seconds later, were you good and like you moved on with the rest of your day? Does that make sense, everybody? So I
Kyle,
think
you want to talk
sometimes
about life insurance? I have a license ready.
I don't, but you can lead gen to that. But I think there's similar concepts around make the phone call, right? You're going to find the people who need you. There's a lot of people yesterday who decided to, move to a bigger house or found out that their wife is pregnant. Like there's always things happening that creates real estate transactions. And if you don't stay on top of your communication with your people, those are the moments you're going to miss when all of a sudden some other agent at the grocery store picks up your client. Okay. Sam, final thought there, and then we're going to move on.
Yeah, I mean, there was something about value proposition between yesterday and was just mentioned right now. I mean, as someone who's new in the market, possibly a lot of us are, starting out, a lot of us are in our 20s. Not that I'm in my 20s, I'm almost approaching 30. But, how do you come off as valuable to a person that possibly already knows at least 2 to 5 realtors in their lives and probably have used one in the past? What's the
Yeah.
secret method we can use to sort of stand out, even though we have zero experience, maybe even zero sales?
Yeah, so I think this becomes is every individual needs to really think about their value proposition, right? Sam, where you live in New Jersey, I'm sure there's 10 pizza shops in your town. Why do people choose 3 or 4 of them versus the others? That's the question you're asking yourself, right? Is it price? Is it service? Is it technology experience? Right? When I started this business, I was 22 years old and I'd walk up to doors and I'd knock on the door and they'd be like, "Are you selling like popcorn for Boy Scouts or what are you doing here?" And I'd say, "Hey, listen, where are you moving to?" Right? And people that are looking for your house, where do you think that they're looking for homes? They're looking online. Okay. Do you think I am a better position right now as a young person who understands technology to make sure that I'm marketing online where most of the buyers are versus an older agent who doesn't understand how to create social media posts? Does that make sense? So there's always going to be an edge to like how you create a value proposition. And we're gonna go through it today. And I want you to take that line and go, you need to be confident that you are better than 2 or 3 other agents out there. And when they do meet with you, that you're the one. Listen, at the end of the day, I remember early in my career, everyone said, when you're born, right, you get a birth certificate and a friend who's a realtor. That's a joke. It's a joke. We can all laugh, right? Of course, everybody knows a realtor. Okay, but are they the type that just goes like, "Hey, I'm John, and I just want to see if you knew anyone looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate"? Nope. Okay, call you again in 4 months. Or if you call and go, "Hey, Sam, I wanted to give you an updated CMA on your property. I don't know if you noticed, but in the last month, 2 homes sold in your neighborhood, and I wanted to make sure you understood how that affected your home value." Okay, if you ever need anything from me, let me know. Does that make sense? So there's lots of ways. Hotels, right? I think this is the best analogy I give people. Red Roof Inn and the Hilton. Just use those 2 experiences, right? Do both of them have a bed? Do both of them have a TV? Do both of them have a toilet? Yeah, then why do people pay more for one than the other? Why do more people go to one than the other? There is a value proposition that they have hit on that is important. Okay. And so I think that's going to be the key today is, yeah, this is a competitive industry. If you're not really willing to get out there and grind and do the work and have the conversations, then again, you're going to feel like you're one of the 1.3 million agents out there, and that's where you're going to feel a little bit stuck. Okay. All right. Let's come back over here. All right. So now we've moved on. Yesterday, you guys kind of did like the real estate by choice, right? I'm a huge believer in the point of this business is to lead a great life. And so you need to do that. All right. Generate your leads is what we're going to focus on today. And then you can see in the next couple classes, you guys are going to go over, I think tomorrow is a technology class, which is a great one to be in because a lot of the things we're going to talk about here matter. And then next week, you guys are going to do like capturing leads in open houses, social media. So today we're going to focus on section 5. All right. You are the lead generator. So I'm going to go to this slide here. Guys, every business is in the business of lead generation. Does that make sense? Like everyone think of a business and then think about what happens if they don't have any clients. Do you have a business? So you can go to the best dental school in the world and you can go open a dental practice and you can be standing there waiting for people to come sit in chairs. But if you don't have clients, you don't have a business. Everybody with me? Okay. This is the most important part of this business, right? Everybody else wants to go and try to figure out, let me make sure I understand every little part of this business. But like, if you don't have conversations to be in, it's going to be really hard to kind of get the business going. All right. And this is a staggering number. what percentage of people that meet with an agent, both on the buyer side and the listing side, what percentage of buyers and sellers move forward with the first agent that they have an appointment with? What do you think?
10.
90%, 10%, 70%, 90, 80. Last year was 74%. That's from the National Association of Realtors. Everybody hear me on that? Which tells me that if you get in front of somebody, you have a 74% chance of them saying, yes, I would like to work with you. Okay, so if you have some sort of fear that you're going up against 10 or 12 other people, I'm here to tell you that that is not the case. And I probably sat like many of you at certain points in my career and we're like, what? That can't be true. And then 22-year-old Kyle got on listing appointments and all of a sudden became rookie of the year. And I was like, you know what? That actually is true. That's exactly the way it works. So we're going to talk about lead gen today. And when we talk about lead gen, my big focus as a coach and as an operating principal is for you to be on appointments. Okay? Because if you're on appointments and you're having real estate conversations, you are going to transact real estate. Okay? Some of you have already asked the question, and I'm going to stop on it here for a second. You don't know a lot of people in your area, right? You don't know a lot of buyers and sellers, and there's lots of ways that you can generate leads, knocking on doors, cold calling, X, Y, and Z, right? The best that I ever found was when someone said to me that every other business is in the business of lead gen. That to me is when this business clicked for me. Because I mentioned to you guys that I was in a market where I didn't know anybody. And so one day my team leader took me to the Greenbrier Mall down in Chesapeake, Virginia. I saw some of you guys are on here from Hampton Roads. Shout out. And he just said, go talk to people. I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, I want you to walk up to people and I want you to use this script. Hi, my name is Kyle Holler and I'm with Keller Williams Realty and I'm working with buyers that are moving into the area. Do you have any coupons or flyers about your business so that when people come to my open house, I can promote your business to them because they may be living in your neighborhood? Everybody with me? Okay, does that conversation scare anybody? Right? If you walked into another business and said, hey, how can I help you? Is there anything threatening about that conversation?
Free marketing.
Sure. Right? What I did was I used to go in and I used to do an open house and I'd put all of that material on a table, right? Eventually, when I was getting out of the business from selling and getting into leadership, my team still did that. And what we did was we created a binder and I changed the script a little bit. Have you ever bought a house before? And if so, right, if you've ever bought a house, there's something called a home inspection. And sometimes that lasts like 3 hours. And so what I like to do is make sure I have a binder for this neighborhood so that everybody that comes in when they're doing their inspection, the family can sit there and start working their way through this book and pulling out all the menus and coupons about all the local businesses that they could then patron. Hey, by the way, Sam, is there anybody else you know that is buying or selling real estate that I could help out today? Or I now have your address. I look up and I figure out who I'm talking to and what the address is, and I write a note card. Okay. So I saw Jim just said in the chat, Jim, you tried that? You want to come off mute real quick and tell us your story? Because I was going to say this. This happened to me too. So what happened to you?
Yeah, so it was one of the first open houses I was doing, and I was going to through the shopping center, and I felt insecure just coming up and talking about the open house, and I just thought, well, let me see if they have any info that I can use, and I used that as the way to start the conversation. And one of the stores was a brand new salon, and he gave me like a dozen coupons, and a couple of the folks at the open house took it, and it went over really well at the open house. Like, oh wow, this is great. Just to give a full 360 view of what it's like to live in that neighborhood, having that shopping center right there as a mixed use community.
For sure. Let's take it a step further. What are some businesses that actually are dealing with people who are buying and selling houses that might even take that strategy and even take it up a notch? What are some local businesses that might know whether or not people are buying and selling?
Contractors.
Yep, someone said moving company. What else?
Painters,
Painters,
handymen.
contractors, divorce attorneys, banks, insurance companies, land. Yeah, you're putting a whole bunch of them in there, right? Junk removal companies, Dumpster companies, storage lockers. Samantha just put in their storage units. Yeah, right. So imagine you walk in and you have a conversation with one of those people and say, hey, I would love to make you my primary storage locker vendor for my company. I send out an email to 500 people that live in this area every single month. What I'd ask for in return is, you know, if you ever run into somebody who is looking to buy or sell, can I give you a few of my cards and you can kind of just let them know that I'm a great agent that can help them reach their goals. That make sense? So for me, door knocking, I like had a hard time doing it, right? Like walking up to strangers' houses and knocking on the door was tough for me. I realized walking up and talking to business owners all day long was the easiest thing that I could do. It also allowed me to like get out of my office and go meet people face to face. And if someone walked up to you and said, hey, I might know people that are looking to buy houses. Is there any chance I can get a few of your cards in case they need a realtor? Like you'd be clicking your heels, right? And so it's the same thing. So think about that and how do you build a vendor network around businesses in a market where you don't know anybody? Any other questions kind of on that strategy, just kind of why we talked about that? Okay.
Can you repeat what you said when you were in Greenbrier, Chesapeake, please?
Sure can. I've done this script a million times. You ready?
Yes.
I see Paul in the middle of my screen. I'm gonna use Paul. Hey, Paul. My name is Kyle Holler, and I'm an agent with Keller Williams Realty. How you doing today? Paul's gonna say I'm good. Great. Hey, listen. I work with a lot of buyers that are moving into the Greenbrier area. I'm actually having an open house this Saturday from 12 to 2, and I like to put out a vendor table. I was wondering if you had any coupons or flyers about your business that I could put on that table just to make sure that the buyers moving into this neighborhood know about some of the local businesses. Everybody with me? Now, I swear the first time I ever did that in that Greenbrier Mall, you know how many people I walked up to and said that to? Nobody. I wandered around for like 30 minutes going like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. And in those old school malls, you know how you can like look down from the upper levels, right? Like they're kind of going away these days. My team leader was standing up there on that upper level and eventually walked down and tapped me on the shoulder. And he goes, you haven't talked to anybody. And I was like, all right. The store we were standing in front of, no joke, was a Bed Bath & Beyond, right? Like that store that sells all the soap and bubbles and stuff. And he goes, walk in there and say the script. I swear to you, I walked in. There's a girl working the front desk, the checkout. I come up, I say that script to her. We're done talking for a minute. She goes, do you know anything about short sales? I went, oh my goodness, right? I can't, absolutely. Let me get your name and number. I'll reach out to you. I'll send you a text. Just give me a call after work. She's like, I think my husband and I are in a short sale situation. I walked outside of my team leader. He goes, how's it go? I go, it went really well. Now I need you to tell me everything you know about short sales because I don't know a dang thing about short sales, right? I converted that lead. I took that listing. I sold that house. Okay. That same day is when I met the Payless shoe store guy. And it took him 2 or 3 years to transact with me. But it just goes to show you that that script and dialogue can work. Put yourself in a position to succeed, right? You got to find something that works for you. And we're going to talk a little bit more through a couple of those different things. So Amanda, thanks for sticking that in there. The dialogue and the script, it is there.
I tried to get it all, but you were talking so fast.
I know, I'm sorry. I'll slow down. I have a lot of material to cover. I get excited. I love teaching realtors. This is what I do all day. Okay, perfect. 6 core competencies of a business. Right? Lead generate, capture, and convert appointments. Present to buyers and sellers. Show buyers and sellers. Write, negotiate contracts. Coordinate the sale. Manage the money. When I look at this screen, what I think of is 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 never happen if you don't lead generate. Everybody with me? When you hear those stats, when you go to real estate school and somebody says to you like, oh, look around the room, only 2 of you are going to be here in 3 years. Well, dang it, you better be the 2 or 3 that are there. And it's because you guys are on this class and made the decision that like, if I want to have a business, I probably should figure out a way to generate some leads and talk to some people about my value proposition. If you're not willing to do that, you might want to save some time and go look for something else to do. I'm not sharing my screen. Can you guys see my screen? Yes, no? You can.
Yes.
All right, Jim, I'm going to put that on you, my man. Okay. Lead generation's fears and myths. I think lead gen is really difficult. I don't have time to lead generate. I don't know what to say. I'm afraid of making mistakes. We all have fears over lead gen. I did until I found the ways that really worked for me and it just became part of my world. What are the things that stop you or brings up that little feeling of going like, I don't really like this? What are the things around lead generation? I just want to kind of start a discussion around our fears. What stops you from lead generating? Love to hear from a few people.
One of the things that affect me with lead generation is not knowing what to say once I'm in front of them. Like I can make the initial relationship where we're all laughing and feeling comfortable. When it comes to like things like short sale, I don't know what to say. So now I feel inadequate and don't know where to go with it.
Okay. I don't always think that people need to get engaged in a really high level conversation the first time you're talking, right? If I ran into somebody out in the world or in business and was just having a casual conversation, I typically would say, hey, I'd love to set a time to talk about this. When can we meet, right? And that gives you a little bit of time, number one, Fantasia, to digest what they said to you and make sure you have the information that you're looking for. Also want to say to you guys, you need to know your local market, right? I'd be on the MLS every day looking around because it'll start to give you things to talk about and to lean on a little bit. And at the end of the day, you also don't need to know everything. I used to say to people all the time, kind of like my professional code is, if I know the answer, I'm going to tell you. If I don't, I'm going to go get the right answer and I'll bring it back to you. Is that fair? Right. And so I think there's lots of ways to make sure that we're engaging in a good conversation. We're collecting that information so we keep them in our database, but you don't need to know it all. Right. I've been in this business for 16 years. I'm a broker in 2 states. There are still situations that come up where I go like, I don't know the answer to that. I'm going to go call my people and I'll go figure it out for you. So to me, it's engage in the conversation, be professional, which means tell them what you do know or answer their questions that they ask. Know your boundaries. You're not a lender. You're not an insurance agent. You're not a home inspector. You're not a painter. You're not any of those things. Everybody good with that? Okay. I see too many agents get sued because they try to be everything to everybody. That's not your role, right? So engage in a good conversation. You don't need to know it all. And if you wait to know it all, you won't be in this business any longer. Okay. Paul, what you got?
One of the things we talked about last night was no excuses, be a master of your calendar. Set that time every day, block off 2 hours every morning, whatever it is, whatever time of the day you want to do it and do it. No excuses.
No excuses. You like to be on Facebook Messenger? Do lead gen on Facebook Messenger. I don't have a problem with that. You got to do it though. Right. I have 6 market centers. I manage over 1,300 agents. I have 3 kids under 5. I'm not perfect every day, but learning how to run my calendar and my schedule was the best thing that Keller Williams ever taught me, because I do think I live a great life and I have time for my family. And nights like this are unique in my world that I'm missing dinner tonight. Wouldn't want to do with any other group than this one, but you're right. Have a schedule, stick to it. It's not going to be perfect. There are going to be days where you nail it. There's going to be days you wake up and you don't feel like it. Move forward, right? And keep building from there. But have a time schedule and have a time block for sure. Amanda, and then Taylor.
So one of the things that we talked about yesterday as well is the action begets action. And I'd kind of like to rebuttal that with non-action begates non-action as well. Because I find myself, I'll get busy and so then I'll not have time for my lead gen calls because I'm busy with buyers or sellers or whatever. And then I'll get back into the mindset of being fearful of starting to make those calls again. And that's kind of where I've kind of fallen into that rut again. So I know that I need to start making my lead gen calls again so that way my pipeline doesn't run dry, but I haven't been, and I probably don't crucify me over this. I probably haven't made a lead gen call in like 2 weeks. So
yeah. And that happens, right? We get off track, we get back on track, right? I think life is just a lot of little decisions, right? And so when you know what you need to do, you just fix it and you go, right? I think there's some really good lessons in there, Amanda. I love what you said. Thanks for sharing. All right, let's go Taylor and then Fatima. Taylor, go ahead.
So I think what worries me and what scares me about lead generation is just that I haven't taken many trainings yet. I just got my license on Friday. I don't know the market. I don't know how to do CMAs. I don't know how to do open houses. I haven't gone to any yet. And, people are telling me not to wait, but I don't want to jump in with zero knowledge and make a fool of myself and like create a poor name for myself.
Sure. Totally get that, right? I do want you to know that you have a real estate license. You went and got 60 hours or whatever your state requires of some more education. So I definitely think you can engage in some dialogues. Again, if you're going on appointments or doing open houses, go find that mentor, go find that partner in your market center that'll go with you. But the fastest way to learn is to go do it. And I would say to you, find your script partner on here. Practice, practice, practice. I used to call people at 7:30 in the morning. We wouldn't even say good morning to each other. The phone would ring and I would go, yeah, no, I'm thinking about selling my house myself. And the other agent would just start ripping off their script and dialogue about why I should list the home. Does that make sense? You want to practice with each other versus when it's worth 15 grand to your family. So if you wait to do that, it's gonna be tough, right? So again, go out there, meet people. Again, just talk about your community. You don't need to know everything about real estate. I remember the day after I got my license, one of my friend's dads texted me, was like, I need a CMA on my house. I'm like, sounds good. I had no idea what a CMA was. And there wasn't Chat GPT to put it into to figure out what that was, what that even meant. Okay. You're going to keep going to classes. You're going to keep building your database. At a minimum, take today's class and let's start to get organized around your database, right? Have a system and a plan ready to go. So when you feel like the information is there, you're ready to click the button and send out that email that says, hey, I just joined the #1 real estate company in the world, and I'd be honored if I could earn your business. I'm having a buyer seminar with my mentor next week, and I'd love for you all to come join, right? Just go for it, right? You live one time. Don't wait for someone to give you permission to go live your big life. Fatima, go ahead.
Honestly, my only fear with lead generation would be handling certain objections because like interest rates, that's one thing as far as like credit scores or like debt to income ratios, they might feel like they might have something too high, but certain objections that I've been coming across is like how do I reply to it without like I don't want to say the wrong thing when it comes to certain objections.
Less is more, right? And then again, go find your partners. If it's a lending question, if it's an interest rate question, you'll learn them over time. I find again that when it comes to buyers, there's like 5 or 6 reasons why they are telling you they're not buying a house right now or while they're waiting. And again, we can role play at the end of this today, and I'll give you some of those. And same thing on the seller side, right? We're in a unique market right now. Here's what I'm going to tell you guys. I know that it's hard right now. I know that we're in a little bit of a rut. I came in this business in 2008. All right. Anybody on the call in the business in 2008? Anybody that was and then came back? Paul, you said you were? Okay, let me tell you the difference in the market now than 2008. 2008 was I took a buyer into a neighborhood. There was 9 houses for sale, and it was like offer whatever you want because like whoever you make an offer on, the seller's going to accept it and they're moving on, right? That's where the market was then. Why I'm saying that is I didn't listen to the noise. I've never been somebody who listens to the noise. And so when every other agent around me that rode the wave of 05, 06, 07 and made all this money, they were walking around the office. Woe is me. This is so hard. Blah, 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 blah. And I just went and did it, right? In a market that I didn't know anybody. And then when the market turned around, I took massive market share, right? So ignore the haters a little bit right now, right? Go find your squad. And we're going to keep talking about that today is who do I engage with? What's the value proposition that I'm having? You don't need to know it all, guys, right? And if that's what's stopping you, the more conversations you have, the more patterns you start to see, and the better you will get. All right. So take the training wheels off, make phone calls, come from contribution, and multiple people have put it in here already. You don't need to know it all, and just tell somebody that's a great question. I'll go find the answer for you. Okay. Here's the deal. What's more fearful? And I mean this. This is the type of stuff. Like I go deep sometimes. You're gonna have to deal with me. What's more fearful? Having a conversation about someone buying and selling a house, or you living a life that is not what you imagine in your head for it to be? That makes sense? This is one of the only businesses I know that I watch people come into this business and go from, working at a restaurant to making 250 G's the next year because they're focused and they do the right activities every single day. If you haven't realized it yet, KW is a models company. You don't need to go get all creative and try to all these new things. Listen to what Amanda said. Plug into the system a little bit, right? And just do the work and make the phone calls. The money will be there. This is a numbers game business. And I watch it every day based on the scale of my market centers. And I get frustrated, and I'll be honest with people where I go, listen, if you're calling to leave because you can't make it in this business, I need to know how much time did you lead generate in the past month? And the answer is usually 0, right? And then there's not much I can really do about that. So people think that the phone is like heavy. They don't want to pick it up and make the phone call. We started the call by saying we made phone calls yesterday to a few people, and they were like thrilled to hear from you, right?
I
So they
actually
like and
just
trust
had a
you. Like,
talk with
pick up the
my
phone.
lender lady right before this call. I had a talk with my lender lady exactly about what Fatima was saying.
Mm-hmm. Good. Yeah. All right, let's keep moving. Yeah, failing's scary. I believe we have one time on this earth. Hopefully there's great things beyond. I'm going to make the best of it. So I'm sure not going to let somebody who goes, no, I'm sorry, Kyle, I'm not looking to buy or sell a house, click. Keep me from what I think I want in this life for myself and my kids. That's the answer. Okay. So you choose which one of those two things. I always like that comment. People say, like, choose your hard. Being broke is hard. Not being able to pay your bills is hard. Finding a couple hours, 2 hours a day or 3 hours a week to make some calls and say, hey, I just want you to know that if your family's looking to buy or sell at all this year, I just would love to be a resource for you. I know you probably have another agent you're working with. If anything ever falls apart, I'm always here to help you, okay? Does that make sense? All right, choose your hard. It's my biggest takeaway. All right, what is this? What do you guys think this is?
Sphere of influence.
All right, define that for me, Sarah. What is a sphere of influence?
The people that you know, trust, the connections you've made with past people.
Yep. Sphere of influence are people that already know you. Now, I think there's different levels to this. As you can see, they have these different shaded kind of circles here as we go. You know, the inner circle is the people that know a lot about you. These are your siblings. These are your aunts and uncles, your parents, your college roommates, right? People that you talk to all the time and constantly, right? That is your inner circle. And then I want you to think about some people that you know just outside that circle, right? Who are friends of friends that you are aware of, that you have a good relationship with, that know you're a good, trustworthy person, but maybe don't know all of your little nitty gritty. Okay. And so we're going to start to build our database around our sphere of influence. Has anyone started to build their database in KW Command? Okay, very good. Perfect. It's an amazing tool, guys, right? I've used a lot of CRMs. If you don't have the KW Command app downloaded, I want you to get that done before tomorrow night's class. Because once you get Command up and running on your desktop a little bit and have your categories and your tags, I can sit on my phone and add people to my database right there as I'm meeting them inside of an open house. There's no writing down on a piece of paper and then getting busy going and coaching T-ball and losing that piece of paper. They're going in my phone, which means they go directly in my database. And did you know, you're going to learn about this if you didn't, we have something called smart plans inside of Command that can kick off and automatically be an email that goes out to somebody. When I add a tag to someone's name, it can start a smart plan. Everybody with me? So I meet Tyler in an open house and we're talking, and I add Tyler to my database and I tag him 123 Main Street. Okay. Before I went to the open house, I created an email that says, hey, first name, thank you so much for coming and joining me today at 123 Main Street. Here's a link to all the photos of the property in case you need to share it with anybody. If you have any other questions or want to go see other homes this weekend, please let me know. So I did that an hour and a half before I got to the open house. I set up that smart plan, or the night before, even better. And then I meet Tyler. I add him into my phone. I add that tag, and I turn around and I start talking to Kenneth. Well, guess what? By the time Tyler gets back to his car and gets in his car, he has an email from me with all my contact information, with all the photos of the listing, with the floor plan, ready to share to any of his family members if they're seriously interested, and an offer to take them out to go see other properties if I so choose. Does that make sense? So this is going to become a filtering conversation about, we're going to build a big hopper of leads, and that number is going to get smaller and smaller, right? In terms of who's going to transact with you. And so we need to use systems in order to be able to organize those relationships, because you can't manage all those personal relationships that way. Okay. Tomorrow's class, some of you guys put in the chat there, You want to learn how to do that. Tomorrow's class is all on the technology around these first 2 days. So that instructor is going to start talking you through smart plans, contacts, tags, etc., all that different stuff. Sam, go ahead.
So we were recently told that putting anything in anyone's mailbox is off the limits and it's illegal. For someone like me who still lives in rental and I have a lot of people around me, all living in rentals with the possibility of buying a house soon. What's something that's on the legal line I can do if I don't want to like sit there and talk to everyone personally one-on-one? Something legal I can do to sort of spread the word really fast to every door around me. That alone is about 50 potential prospecting from ideas
Yeah.
from everyone around me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good question. I used to target renters, and what I would do is I would send them postcards through the mail, right? Because I think if you're targeted lead gen, I know we're going to talk about money and time a little bit today. I would, if I had a listing and I knew there was an apartment complex nearby, I'd say, you guys are all paying on average X amount of rent. You could probably own this house for Y, right? Have you ever thought about buying? Come talk to me. So you got to be careful with renters. You have property managers who are trying to intercept you sometimes, but there's also, if you have a good relationship with that property manager, there might be a thing that you can sponsor. And so instead of getting in front of everybody, when they have their Easter cookout in the apartment complex down by the pool, it'd be awesome for it to be sponsored by Sam, right? The realtor. And that may be a way that you get in front of people, or offer to do a home buyer seminar for everybody in the apartment complex. The challenge you're going to have is, what's the job of that property manager? To keep everybody in their rentals. So you're going to have to look at those strategies and try to figure out, how do I get to some of these people? If there's a bulletin board, again, I used to do like virtual seminars all the time, and I'd have lots of people get on there. There's people raising their hands saying like, I'm thinking about buying or selling, right? There was no better way for me to spend my time than doing that. So I think that's an idea, and maybe we'll come up with a few more as we go. Haven, what you got?
I wanted to kind of add to kind of what Sam said. I'm in the same situation. I live at an apartment complex, and I wanted to share some ideas as well, not stepping on the property manager's toes or anything. If there is like a community pool or anything like that, you can always get like koozies made with your name and logo or whatever it may be. Hand them out at the pool as you're sitting there. Bring drinks or whatever it may be, as well as hosting, like you said, like a seminar or something like that, which obviously property managers do want to keep their tenants where they are.
Sure.
So they may not be as open to that, but it is a great idea. Just kind of maneuvering around that, because people are going to be at those places, at the gym, at the pool, whatever amenities you have where you live. That's where I would focus more. So then you're not necessarily stepping on the property manager's toes. You're just doing your job at lead generating and offering people something, and it gets a conversation started 100% summertime's here. So I think being able to give them something that they can hold on to and have in their apartment or whatever, and be like, oh, this koozie, blah, blah, blah. I met this person at the pool. For when they are ready to be able to buy a home. That's kind of where I have gone towards, instead of asking to do those type of things in the community where I live, because nobody wants to lose their tenants, and obviously I
For
want
sure.
buyers.
Listen.
And I have sent out postcards and everything, but
Yep.
I didn't get much of a return on it, and so I think it is expensive to be able to do that. So if you want to save a little bit more money, I would look at different avenues on how to connect with the people in that community.
Yeah, face-to-face is always going to be the best option and I love your idea of koozies. There's lots of things that I have this knife I use all the time. Like, I know the Cutco knives and real estate thing, but like, there's literally a knife that I use every single day where I'm like, Elise, where's that knife? Right. Like, and it has one of my agent partners, like, names and phone number and stuff on it. Remember though, if you're getting targeted around an apartment complex or a farm, in that case of like renters and things like that, I know agents that all they do is go after renters and convert them to first-time buyers, right? Like, full on strategy. That's all they do. In Command, in the campaigns applet, you can send a postcard. Everybody know that? You can circle an apartment complex and just send postcards to that apartment complex. Didn't know if you knew that. Now, when I lived in Ballston outside of Washington, D.C., there was one day where I received 19 real estate postcards in one day. And guess what all those real estate postcards said? What do you think they said? What does the
We're
real
talking-
estate postcard to say that show up to your house?
Number one agent.
Looking to
in
buy or
real
sell.
estate.
Looking to buy or sell? Call me, Kyle Halloran. Okay, well, when all 17 of them say the same thing, what happens to all 17 of those postcards? They go in my recycling bin. Okay, so if you're going to do a postcard, my thing is you better, number one, you better make it specific to that apartment complex, right? Dear Carrollton Manor tenants, or, you know, whatever, right? What I love to do is those postcards have to be sticky. You can shoot a video, right? That has a QR code on there that says, watch my video now, with an arrow pointing to the QR code. And when they scan it, it's you going, hey, tenants of Carrollton Manor, this is Kyle Holland with Keller Williams Realty. I want to let you know I just listed a house 2 blocks away that is still walking distance to all of your favorite shops around Carrollton Manor apartment complex. On average, you could be saving $300 a month. If you need to talk to a lender, I have a couple recommendations I could give to you. If anyone's interested in seeing this home, let me know. Like, that's literally what they could pull up on their phone when they look at the postcard. Okay, but that's only if they even look at it. So I'm with you. You got to make sure that that's a strategy that makes sense. And then if you're going to do it, it's got to be more effective or different than every other postcard that everybody else is receiving. Go ahead, Haven.
It reminds me of the stories. I've heard it in a lot of trainings with KW and stuff of this agency or agent or whatever. They ended up just sending pretty much a blank postcard to the same farming area they sent out a survey first and asked, who's your favorite realtor in this area? And everyone in that neighborhood said something different, right? And then they started sending out these postcards with just a QR code on them or just this main person's name on it. And it was nobody, no agent or anything. It was just whatever. And then like 8 weeks later, they send out the same survey and every single person in that area that they farmed said that agent's name. And
sure.
the QR codes, I mean, they're so easy to use, and the video idea is absolutely amazing because it's like people aren't going to sit there and read a card. They don't care. But they're gonna be like, what is this QR code? Let me look at it. And it's a great way to number one, show your face, but also see a personality through more than that, other than just, hi, this is me, buy from me.
Yeah.
Those type of things.
Face-to-face or on the face-to-face is the best form of communication, right? Like if you study communication, because there's tonality, there's movement. Phone is probably secondary because you can still hear the tone of my voice, and text is almost the worst sometimes because you know how things come across. So every time I used to talk to somebody, this was even back in like 2009, I used to have one of those big old iPads, like one of the original ones, right? And I would stack up MREA books. And if I talked to a seller, like an expired or somebody like that, I would actually create a video on my iPad, go to a YouTube channel, upload that to a YouTube channel back in the day, all grainy, get a link and email it to somebody and say, hey, Susan, I wanted to put a face with a name. Thanks so much for the conversation today. If you have any more questions about your house that went through Main Street, let me know. Right? So like I've been doing video a long, long time. I find it to be very effective. And I think it does. It helps you with your personality. I mean, think about it. You think you know all these people on TV or your favorite sports athletes. Like, you don't know them. You just feel like you do because you hear them interviewed and you see them talking all the time. It's not just text on a page. Text on a page is text on a page is text on a page. All right. Rachel, then Paul.
I live in an apartment complex with about 400 units, and I actually just gave the office manager has my business cards for renters that they don't have room for that need somebody. Also for people who are planning on moving, they give them out. All of my neighbors in my building came to me asking for my business card, knowing that I went through real estate. And I've started with it this year.
Yeah, I mean, if the property manager's job is to fill the rental, I love what you just said there. The script that comes to my mind is going, hey, there's going to be people that are looking to move out and become homeowners, right? Like that's just what they do. And then there's people that I might meet that want to be a homeowner that aren't qualified. Let's work together. You send me the buyer leads, I'll send you my rental leads. Win-win.
Yeah.
Right? Build a relationship there.
And they're going to give me a discount every time that I bring somebody in.
Love that. Perfect. Paul, what you got?
Yeah, I'm probably a little bit older than some of these guys, but I'll tell you, I've lived in apartments. I've lived in townhomes. I've lived in a house. I've downsized back in townhomes. I want to tell you guys right now, there's always about 5 or 10 people that know everybody. They know everybody in the complex. And those are the 10 that you want to make friends with because they're going to introduce you to the next 10 to the right and to the next 10 to the left. And it's a great way to get to know everybody. I live in a townhome area right now, 134 units, half are investors, half are owners, but there's got to be, I bet you there's 10 people here that just know everybody.
Love that, Paul. Thanks. One of the things we're really zeroing in on here a little bit, I hope you guys are hearing it, is you can't be everything to everybody. Right? Sometimes you got to get focused on a couple lead gen techniques or a couple niches, areas that you're trying to work. I find the most successful agents are very focused. And here's a little quick story, and then we're going to do one more exercise. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back. I lived in Hampton Roads, as I mentioned, and those that know Hampton Roads, it's called the 7 cities. There's 7 different cities. And I remember I came back one day, and my mentor, I came into the office, and he looked at me, he was like, "Kyle, you're a star real estate agent." I was like, "Damn, thanks, Billy." And he goes, "No, you're driving from here to here to here to here to here to here to here," right? And drew a star on the board and was like, "You don't have much to show for it. You're not closing any deals." In that moment, I realized, like, and this goes back to a little bit, I think, what Amanda had said earlier, busy and productive are 2 different things. We all can get busy. That doesn't mean you're productive. And I say that to my agents and my staff all the time. It's like, I know you say you're doing a lot of stuff right now. We're not doing the most important things, and that's what we need to focus on. Okay. And so same thing for you all. Don't be busy, be productive, and find how to use that time wisely. All right, quick exercise. Some of you guys have iPhones. I think it's the same thing on Android. If you go to your phone and you open up your contacts, hopefully I don't have to coach anybody how to do that. Scroll all the way to the bottom of your contacts, and there should be a number at the bottom of the contacts that tells me how many people are in your phone. Go ahead and put it in the chat if you're willing to put it in the chat. I have 1,086 people in my database. 690, 2,100, 113, 169, 245. Okay, perfect. All right. None of you can tell me you don't know anybody or you don't have a database to start with. Okay. On top of that, you have Facebook friends potentially that are maybe not in your phone as well. Okay. Now I want to read you something really quick. And there's a little bit of math that's involved here. We're not necessarily going to do it today, but I'm going to read you this because I think it's important. It says, according to the National Association of Realtors, the typical person moves every 8 years. That might be a little bit higher, might be a little bit lower for you. And according to the census, home ownership rate in the US is 64.8%. If we can assume that 64.8% of your database is a homeowner and that they will move every 8 years, this means that about 8.1% or 0.081 of your database will either buy, sell, or refer you a buy or sale every single year. Okay. So if I took my number, and you can do this on your phone if you want, if I took my number of 1,080 clients and I multiply that by 0.081, that means I have the potential to do 87 transactions this year based on that number. Woo. Okay. Now multiply that number by your average commission. So let's say it's going to be, let's just use a round number and say our average commission is $5,000, right? Where my market centers are in Northern Virginia, it's closer to 18, right? Richmond, Virginia, my market center, it's closer to 11. Okay. So I'll take 87. Let's call it 87. I'm going to multiply that by $5,000 a commission. It's $435,000. Anybody be happy about that as their first year income? Right? Okay, so a lot of us are going, hey, I don't know a lot of people in my area. I get that, but you do know a lot of people. You need to start communicating with them. And if you take the number of people in your phone, multiplied by 0.081, and just gave yourself a $5,000 commission, put in the chat, what's the potential if you managed your database correctly, how much commission you could earn. I used to say, do we call people outside of our state as well? 100%. Last year, I made about $37,000 in referral fees to out-of-state clients. So yes, you absolutely are counting those people. Amanda, 155K. Raekwon, 47 grand. All right, so we got some good ones coming in there. Okay. Now, What are some questions you have around 305,000? Look at Roman's got $1 million over there. Debbie, hey, 9.5 mil. That works for me. If not, you're going to move a decimal point. It's still 950,000. So I'm good with that either way. Okay. How many of these people in your phone have made it over to command yet? And if you haven't done that yet, let's talk about some reasons why. Why are some of these people not over there yet? Some people are saying, hey, it's because, I don't know all these people. And so let's talk about that for just 1 second. I look at your database similar, okay, to like a really nice car, all right? And your database is your engine. And the contacts in your database is the gasoline. All right, so if I had a Ferrari and I had a really nice engine and that was my business, I was making $300,000 every year. If I put junk fuel in there, how far is that car going to go? Not very far, right? So I look at when I add people to my database, there are people that I like to see. Do they know me? We're going to talk about categorizing people a little bit. But what is some of your fears or questions you might have around the group of people you have in your phone and how they make it over into your database so we can start building this database out so we can hit those numbers that we just calculated together? Kesa, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. It's Kisa. Excuse me. I have a question about for your contacts. For a lot of them, it's just a phone number. And I know there's a do not call registry. And I'm pretty new to all of this. So I just have a question about that. If you send it over to be downloaded into command, if I don't have corresponding email addresses or I don't know their street address, like how reasonable is that I would be calling them if it's,
yeah, so
not,
you do need to be careful.
If they're on the
You do need to be careful with the do not call list. All right. Your office should provide you with like a copy of the do not call list where you can put in names and numbers and kind of scrub some of those things. What I try to do is there's a couple options. One, if I'm connected with them on social media, right? It's not a phone call. Sometimes I'll try to message them and say, hey, I'm working on updating my database. I'm not sure if you saw or not, but I'm now with Keller Williams Realty. Can I confirm that this is the correct information? Or could you help me fill in this information, right? I've seen some agents do what's called a reverse bold 100. Does anybody know what that is? What's a reverse bold 100? So that might be where I go out and I purchase or have one of my vendors maybe purchase. I don't know. What's a cool thing right now? What's a cool gift that people want to get that maybe is in between $300 and $500? Somebody give me an idea. Yeti cooler. All right, so let's use that as an example. Let's say a sweet Yeti cooler that was packed full of summer essentials. Everybody with me? You put on your social media, hey, if you are one of my friends or one of my contacts, I would love for you to call in on Thursday, April 16th between 8 a.m. and noon. And if all you do is confirm all of your correct personal contact information with us, you're entered into the drawing for the Yeti cooler. Does that make sense? So you're creating a reason for people to reach out to you, confirm those details, and then they get entered into a certain prize, or that'd be the reason why they would call to give you that contact info, right? Our local MLS gives us something called Forewarn. I don't know if some of your MLSs give that, or it's a product I think you can buy in the App Store as well. A lot of times if you put in a phone number, it's basically a security product where you can put in someone's phone number before you go meet them, and you can see their criminal record, etc. They also have really good emails, sometimes addresses. I can't depend on that stuff 100%. But I use tools like that to try to fill in some of the gaps in my database. I love the health score inside of Command. You guys seen the health score? Right. Some people said data tracing. Those are all some good ideas. The health score, every individual consumer or client in your database gets a health score. And that health score is built by having phone number, email address. Like there's a certain formula that gives you 100%. So one of the things I would challenge you to do is you don't need to get 100% on every single person, right? But how do you move right now that if your health score overall for your database is 37%, how do we make it a goal to get that database up to 50 by June 1st, right? What I do a lot of times is it's hard to go in and really manage your database once it's built and you're really running it. What I do is I actually use my Facebook birthdays as checks to go in and check my database and check my contacts to see if I've updated information. Meaning, Sarah has a birthday today. I use that as the trigger for me to go into command and look at Sarah's profile and go, is there anything I'm missing here? Right. I'm going to reach out and say happy birthday to her. But it's a way that I'm able to stay organized over time and update contact records day by day, rather than trying to sit down and do it 800 people at a time. That gets overwhelming and it's really hard to do. Anybody else have anything else to add there? Yeah, Haven says very important to reach out to people, right? Make sure they want to be contacted by you. When you're first getting in the business too, you can ask permission. And I think that's the way you want to phrase that, right? Would you be offended, Haven, if I sent you some market update information every once in a while? Right? There's scripts and dialogues there that are not like, hey, I'm going to send you a marketing email, like don't unsubscribe, right? And if people unsubscribe, so be it. I unsubscribe from things like 10 times a day. I call it like whack-a-mole. And like every 5 days, I'm like, wait a second, where did this come from? Unsubscribe, unsubscribe, unsubscribe. Again, just because they're not talking back to you doesn't mean they're not listening. So if they unsubscribe, move on. There's enough fish in the sea to kind of build it through. All right, Fatima, go ahead.
So my brokerage also recommends like to add all my contacts to command, but me, it's like I'm only 22 years old, and like a lot of the people that are in my contacts aren't really having real estate needs currently. So how should I go about that?
Yeah, so again, go back to that script I gave you on business to business relationships, right? Where are you at, Fatima? Where do you live?
I'm in Maryland. I'm located with Keller Williams and Timonium.
Okay. I went to Loyola High School in Towson. Okay. You should be out in Timonium, hitting every strip mall and using the script and dialogue I gave you. And as you meet Paul and Rachel and Haven and Jim, those people go in your database, right?
Sounds good.
There's seminars that you can do. There's two different categories sometimes of contacts that we talk about, which is Mets and haven't Mets. Mets are people that you already know. Haven't Mets are people that you're meeting out at an open house. So go on to Bright MLS, put in your office code, see where all the listings are that are around Timonium, Maryland. Call the agent in your office and say, hey, Jim, can I hold your listing open on Saturday at 123 Main Street? And go out there and meet some new people. Because I'm with you that the average age right now of a first-time home buyer is how old? Anybody know?
36.
36 years old. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean that people under 36 aren't buying houses. In Fatima, you're going to have a couple friends in that database who are going to hit it big in business early on in their life. So keep going with them, right? Have communication. Give them the resources they need when they need it. You should be excited that as your business moves forward, if you can build a business now, especially around haven't Mets, when all those people see all the action and activity that you're doing, they're going to trust you and they're going to start using you. And then you have banner years in 2030, 2031, 2032, right? So build your business up, bring those people along with you, but you're not counting on people that you only know, right? This business will never work if that's what you do.
Also, you can maybe rely on their parents. Like maybe they're not ready, but maybe their parents want to downsize.
Yeah, remember when we did the calculation? I just read it, right? Talked about how some of those numbers in there is based on referrals from your database. People know people that are buying. Think about it right now. How many of you that know somebody who's buying or selling a house that's not using you? Everybody know somebody? Friend of a friend, a cousin all of a sudden who told you they're buying a house, right? Like people transact, things happen, right? You're not going to get every deal. You can't expect it every single time. But again, you got to have enough people in the conversation to keep that database rolling. All right, Raekwon, Haven, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back with some good strategy stuff. Raekwon.
I was just gonna say, yeah, like I was just speaking to one of my coworkers today, and he was just letting me know, like, yeah, I really recently just purchased a house, and I was just like, wow, like maybe if I was maybe a little bit more into it or had a little bit more knowledge just to provide out like I do now, I would have been able like a little bit top of mind to him versus now, because I feel like when I started like making posts on IG and doing like videos and stuff like that to engage with my audience, he had already had like a realtor already working with him and stuff like that. So it was a little bit too late for me.
The next one's coming, right? So just keep doing it because you'll get the next one and you'll build your database from there. There's plenty of people that I've been on the other side of the transaction, but because of the way that I've handled my business, meaning like I've had the seller and the buyer was represented by another agent. When it goes to closing and that relationship was over, the agency agreement was over, I can't tell how many buyers called me and go like, hey, I'm going to sell this house. You were the agent 3 years ago. I really like the way you handled your business. I'd love to work with you. And sometimes I even take those buyers and put them in my database, right? The agency agreement's over. So there's lots of ways to engage here. You just got to think through it. All right, Haven, go ahead.
I want to talk a little bit about something that I saw in the chat, and it was being like, well, like I live in a smaller area, whatever it is. People know I'm a realtor, all these things, and I'm sure this will go into lead gen and all that stuff. I live in a town that's maybe 100,000 people here in Texas, and it's nothing. When you say that, like, oh, well, people know I'm a realtor, they forget. They forget. And so really that's kind of the main point is don't let people forget that like you're an agent at all, even if you think that they will. Your own sphere of influence sometimes will be like, oh shoot, like no, somebody mentioned that to me, but I forgot to tell them that I know you. You consistently have to put in those calls, those messages, like all of those things, be out in front of people because people will forget that you're an agent if you're not consistently doing that. And obviously, I think that's the one thing that we've kind of talked about is getting in front of people and stuff like that when it comes to lead gen. I'm a huge networking person. I love going to all those events, and it kind of just depends on what you like. But yeah, and I know that you, Kyle, can probably go into that a little bit deeper on that type of topic of
Yeah, like I just
especially
think
a small
about,
town.
yeah, like I like what you said about people forget. They do forget. If you think that they remember 8 months after you talk to them, they don't. Haven's spot on that. We have a holiday coming up this weekend for a lot of people, right? There's a lot of holidays in your cultures, your religions that are important to people. Know when people are gathering. Because what I find is that like weekends like this weekend coming up for me for Easter, people will be talking about real estate. And my cousin who's buying a house right now is going to bring it up, right? So you got to know that when people are getting together, especially around the holidays, like those are great touch points because if you haven't talked to somebody since July and someone walks into a holiday party, I'm not recommending you. But if I just talked to you last week and said, hey, Haven, just keep in mind as you're meeting people this weekend and things like that, you know, if you run into anybody that needs my help, I'd love to be a resource. And now all of a sudden, when she gets in that conversation, that real estate comes up, she's going, hey, I got this person, Kyle, that I'd love to introduce you to. He's great. But if I didn't have that conversation a week ago, either A, she wouldn't remember, or B, she wouldn't really feel emotionally that she needs to go out on a limb for me. But if I just talked to her and asked for help, because my goal is to serve 30 families this year, and I'd love her help for me to serve those 30 families, I bet you she puts her neck out a little bit for me and gives me my name and number and connects me to that person. Okay. All right, Sam, final thought. Go ahead.
I wanted to see a little bit on what some people have experience on. What I've been told a lot is you want to start out fresh in the market, why don't you head out to your church or your mosque or whatever religion anyone is a part of. I wanted to see if anyone has ever done that sort of like, in their church or in their religious, place. Has anyone had any experience in that? How do they approach people inside, when everyone's trying to be religious and everything, but you're just out there trying to get numbers? If anyone has kind of
Yeah, again, I
ideas.
don't think it's good salespeople provide value. They don't sell. You hear me on that? Right? So you're not going into your community and going like, as an example, whether it be whatever you're interested in is a lead generation opportunity. I have a friend of mine who is a big sports guy. And when he moved to the West Coast, all he did was join intramural leagues. And then when they went and played soccer and whatever it was going to be, after intramurals, what do people do? They usually go out to a bar and hang out and have some drinks and have some food or whatever. That's where he gauged in conversations and just got into a relationship with people. And he would just say to somebody like, hey, Sam, what do you do for a living? What do you think they're going to say back to you? I sell real estate. Now you're in a conversation, right? So there's ways to engage people in relationship. And I love that, which is a lot of times you can lead generate in things that you're already doing, right? So one of those kind of misconceptions was I don't have time to lead generate. What do you go do that you enjoy doing, whether it be pickleball or bridge or whatever it is that you have an interest in, right? Where you're going to meet people and have an opportunity to build trust. And then you're going to go from there. I have an agent in my office in Reston, Virginia. His name is Sam Saeed. He is in 13 pickleball leagues. That's all he does. He's got like official shoes. He's got like, we went to a tournament and I was like, I'm pretty good at pickleball. He beat me 7-0, 7-0, and I walked out like 10 minutes later, right? I mean, that's what he does all day long. But guess what? He sponsors all the tournaments. He's in all the leagues. He's meeting everybody. Last year, he sold 44 houses just because of pickleball. Okay. So again, it's about like finding something that you really enjoy and what you're already doing You know, maybe it is your church group. Maybe it's your neighborhood garden part. Like whatever it is, whatever you're already doing, provide some value. And I bet you start to see some returns around that. Okay. All right. So let's do this. We are at 7:15. Actually, you guys are going to go for like 20 more minutes and we'll wrap up, or do you want to take a break? Keep going?
Yeah,
Keep going.
Love it. Let's go. I don't hear any kids screaming yet, so I feel like I'm still safe. All right, let's keep rolling. All right. I want to hit on this really quickly, and maybe it's the next slide. Let me just check real quick. All right, yeah, I'm going to come back to it. This is the lead gen model. Everybody see that? So when we meet people, we're taking them through this kind of process here, and it's a lot of things we've already talked about, but I want to go through them at a high level. So number one, lead capture, right? So that's where I'm talking to somebody, I'm engaged with Nicole, I'm having a conversation with her. I need, if that conversation is going to work, I got to capture information somehow, right? So whether that be a sign-in sheet, whether that be on my website and I'm lead capturing. Again, I use my phone and my app a lot. One of my tricks when it comes to like talking to people in person and trying to get contact info, if you download the consumer KW app, everybody with me on that? So we have a command app that's for the agents, and we have a consumer app that is for the buyers and sellers to look at property like realtor.com or Zillow or anywhere else. Everybody follow? One of the features on our app is you can actually toggle on in the search map, you can toggle on open houses. Okay. Everybody with me still? All right, so who wants to role play this open house dialogue about how I capture info? Someone want to play along with me? First one to come off mute.
Hey.
All right, Roman, you're the buyer, okay? And I'm the agent at the open house, okay?
Let's go.
All right, Roman, nice to meet you. Thanks for coming by today. Hey, listen, are you going to be out today at all, driving around looking at any other houses?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, cool. Did you guys already have them mapped out, or are you just kind of driving around looking for yard signs?
We have two in mind, but mostly just searching around.
Okay, cool. On my KW mobile app right here, if you can see, there's actually a map. And on that map, all the green dots are all the current open houses today and tomorrow.
Interesting.
Let me send this to you really quickly. What's your phone number?
Do I have to pay anything?
No, you don't have to pay anything.
All right.
All right, so usually when I have my phone in my hand, and I have my phone blurred, but like usually when I'm standing right next to somebody and I'm showing them something of value and I'm going, hey, would you like me to text this to you? Right within the consumer app, you can share the app with somebody via text message. And then as soon as I do that, I just got their phone number. Does that make sense to everybody? And now I can text them and say, hey, Roman, thanks for coming to the open house today. It was great talking to you. If you need anything, let me know. So here's the thing. When you're asking someone to write their phone number down on a piece of paper, that's one thing. Right? When you're standing right next to them and you ask for their phone number. Now, again, I've had people go like, I don't want to give you my phone number. And I'm going, all right, no problem. Right? But a lot of times people just engage in that because I'm showing them an item of value, not just saying like, hey, can I send you another list of MLS listings? I'm trying to show him that if he gets in his car, he can now go follow the green dots to all the open houses that are being syndicated out from the MLS. Okay? And now I do have his phone number. Now I can start engaging with him and keep going. So the first step is we have to capture the lead. We have to find a way to get contact info. Amanda, what do you want to add?
So in you getting his phone number, that means that you also, even if he's on the DNC list, you also just got permission to contact him too.
Sure, because if I text him from my phone, the mobile app, it comes through as a normal text message. Now, here's the little trick I always use too. Does their phone ding? Like I'm standing right in front of them. I just texted them. So if Haven's trying to throw me off and won't give me her phone number, like I know that standing right there because I usually can see a reaction where they go like, oh, cool, just got it. Going like, all right, great. That's an actual phone number, right? But again, it's just one of those situations where I've just gotten really good at, hey, let me show you this on the mobile app. Here's some of the features of the KW app. Do you want me to text this to you? What's your phone number? And usually people just kind of continue the conversation, right? I don't make it awkward, right? And I've captured a lot of phone numbers that way in grocery stores, all over the place, okay? So just a little script and dialogue around that. Now, we lead capture them, we put them into our database, which is your command database. All right, and you have a difference between leads and contacts. Leads are people that I really haven't engaged in any sort of conversation around. They are just a name that came into my system from somewhere. I really see contacts as somebody that I do have a relationship with. Okay. Now, even within contacts, I categorize my database as A's, B's, and C's. I like to categorize my database. So when I put someone in, I like to categorize them and go like, this is who this person is. Here's how I define it. If you guys organize your database differently, go ahead and chime in. I do A's, B's, and C's. A's are people that know me, like me, and use me and refer me constantly. Right? So like those are my main referral partners that I'm taking super good care of. That if there was any group, if I eliminated all my B's and C's, my A's would keep my business going. And my goal is to grow my A group every year. Okay. I have a couple agents in my office that have 5 A's that each bring them like 5 or 6 deals a year. That's the entire business. And he takes them to caps games. He takes them fishing, right? And so these are people that work in areas, financial advisors, etc., that are able to refer multiple pieces of business a year. They don't have 100 people in their database. They have 5, and those 5 each bring 5 deals, and that's his business. Okay, B's are people that know me, and if someone walked up said like, "Hey, do you know a realtor?" We're probably like, "Yeah, I know this guy Kyle," but like they're not going out on a limb for me all the time. And C's are people that I probably don't know very well that wouldn't really recommend me, but they came into my database in some capacity. Does that make sense? My goal is to get C's to become B's and B's to become A's. Any questions on that? Okay, you can have multiple tags. So like you can have them as an A, and then I know them through football. You can have both, right? But I focus on A's and I make sure that I'm connecting with my A's all the time. And then my B's come next, and then my C's come next. My C's probably just get like a monthly email drip, right? The B's are probably getting a quarterly phone call. The A's are getting invited to like special experiences that keep them close to me and wanting to refer me business. Any questions on like categorizing your database or things that maybe have popped up as you're working on categorizing your database?
I have a question. Can you just repeat again what the C's, like how you stay in contact with the C's?
Yeah, I love that. So C's to me are a monthly email. Here's what's going on in the marketplace. I like to include things that are going on in the community. New restaurants maybe that have opened, farmers markets going on. Because here's the deal. If you're sending emails to people that maybe bought a house 2 years ago and aren't buying or selling, if everything is about interest rates and what's on the market, they don't care about that email. They're not in the market. So your emails have got to make sure that there's data about the market in general, right? Maybe how their home price has risen over the course of 2 years. But C's get the email. B's get more personal conversations, text messages. A's hear from me on a monthly basis, and I'm usually in constant contact with those people.
Thank you.
Rachel?
So you categorize them through the different tags?
Yes, exactly.
How many tags can you have on each person?
I think it's unlimited in command, but I will tell you that I would not do that. I would come up with a tag library that you can use and kind of get used to. And when it comes to your tags, like, be real. How do you categorize people in your head? I know people that will take another agent's like tagging categories and try to apply it to their database, but that's not how they think and operate, right? So you can have multiple tags. I think the most tags any of my contacts have in command is probably 5 or 6. And that might be because they're an Orioles fan and a Ravens fan and an A. You get what my point is?
Yeah,
Because
because I have them down as like people I just work with, people that the renters, the people who want to buy a house. That's how I have it categorized. And
yeah,
then
so like you might have like first time home buyer and Ravens. I'm just using that as an example, right? Because if all your communication is always about business, I think that gets stale. Like no one likes that. But if I know who all my Orioles fans are, Ravens fans are, you know, if they go win a big game or something like that, I'll blast my database the next morning and go like, what a game that was. So awesome. I'm going to try to get a couple tickets to next week's game and raffle them off. You know, stay tuned. So there's reasons that I like to communicate based on things that I do, and your tags need to follow kind of that strategy plan that you have.
okay. Thank you.
Haven.
kind of going off of what you said with your C clients or in your database, something that we did as a team, we actually came up with a local guide, and it took quite a bit to put it together, and we update it pretty much yearly with all the local businesses and stuff that we number one recommend because it comes from us. And we're able to use that in any listing appointment, any new buyers, anything like that. I live in a town that has a Air Force base here, and so we're able to put that just even online and stuff like that. Everyone loved it when we first did it. It went pretty much completely viral here in my town, and we continuously try and update that, and it has been such a help for people who have moved here. Not only that, but it's curated based off of us, and it has our logo on there, as well as, you know, when you have parks, this, restaurants, this, real estate agent, us. That's it.
Sure.
That's all we have on there. So a local guide is actually a really good thing because you're offering information about people who are moving into that town, as well as you like those places and you know these places, you work with these people, these vendors, like all these things. So you're actually able to give your own recommendations through that face to face, but now it's on paper or through social media. So to anybody on here, I would recommend creating your own one that you can offer that.
Cool. I love that. So that's a really, really good idea. And then take it even a step further, you can do print versions of that, right? There's a online tool called flipsnack.com that some people know about. You can create like a digital magazine that you can actually upload onto your website. People can like turn the pages like they're looking through a magazine. You can turn any PDF into a magazine. So there's some really cool things out there. And I love that idea. Going back to those vendor relationships we kind of talked about to start the class. I know agents that are big foodies. Anybody on here a big foodie? And they go try all the restaurants and stuff in the area. And so all of a sudden they go and they say like, you know, hey, Rachel's the chef at this new restaurant. She'll take a video. Like I know agents that'll take a video and say, hey guys, it's Kyle and I'm here at the new restaurant. I'm actually here with the owner, Rachel. Rachel, tell us about your new spot. And Rachel talks about it, whatever. And then I post it on my social media and tag the restaurant. Okay, when I tag somebody on social media like that and they want to promote it because they're a business owner, they're trying to get eyeballs. Now all of a sudden I'm on that whole restaurant's Facebook page and everyone's seeing my interview of the chef. Does that make sense? So like find the things that you enjoy doing. And I think there's constantly, even vendor of the month, like here's my contractor, you know, today we're talking about, you know, when's the right time to seed your lawn? Like, remember, people are asking you to be a part of their life around their home. And there's lots of ways to provide value around that. I don't think it just has to be about interest rates and home prices. All right. Cultivate contacts for conversion. So interactive and needs-based offering. So again, leads there, it's showing you that you got to move people from that lead in a conversation over into contacts. And then there's a good set of questions you guys will work your way through and ignite about what do I say to these people? How do I convert them to a contact? Once they're in there, I've had people I've met and we bought a house that day. And I've met people and they haven't bought a house from me for 8 years, but I've kept them in this constant Rolodex, right? They're looking at my website. I can see that they're looking at the listings on the MLS drip campaigns and they finally do convert. And so they're either then going to give me a referral. You can see that down at the bottom, or they're new and repeat customers. Okay. Here's the deal. If you don't build a database, you're going to start to live your first year in real estate over and over again. What do I mean by that?
Can you repeat that question, please?
You're really not gaining experience.
Struggling.
Yeah, this business should get easier because when I close with somebody, another stat, what percentage of people say they would use the same agent again after they used an agent? Is a national stat. What percentage of people say they would use the same agent again?
15.
88. Everybody hear me on that? So 8 or 9 times out of 10, when you close a deal, someone would, if they got surveyed, would go, yeah, I'd absolutely use Kyle again. What percentage of people actually use the same agent again as they did the first time? Debbie, you were close. So 88% say they will. What percent actually do? I think it was about 18% last year. 18%. So 9 out of 10 say they would use you again. 2 out of 10 actually do. Why? What happens there?
Lose contact, not keeping in contact with them.
You went to an open house and met Paul and started talking to Paul and forgot about Taylor. Right? So a database is a way for you to keep those people engaged, keep them right there. You should be adding to the deals every single year. You should be building your business every year with repeat referrals. But if you don't put somebody in a database and keep in touch with them, you're always doing cold lead gen. That's not a fun business to be in, right? I'm at a spot in my business right now where like I don't have to do any lead gen. I get enough referrals for my business that I want to do in my sales business. And it's taken me a long time to get there, but it's because I really take care of people. And if you don't do that, then you're the one on Zillow leads every year and on this lead generate because like you don't have enough business, right? Take care of your people, and I don't think that ends up happening. Okay, a few more slides. I like this conversation here, prospecting versus marketing, because some of you guys are new and you don't have a huge bankroll to be going and buying postcards, right? We kind of hit on this a little bit. So what's the difference between marketing and prospecting? Okay, prospecting is you're using your time as your capital, meaning you're going out and you're meeting people, you're door knocking, you're talking to vendors and people. Marketing's the opposite. It's when you're sending out postcards, trying to attract people to come back to you. That's where you have to use your actual money capital to make that sort of thing happen. So I find that when I started out, I leaned very heavily into prospecting, making phone calls, being deep in relationship. Marketing's a lot harder to get into, you know, and you hear people that have radio commercials and billboards and all those things like, okay, if you're going to do things like that and spend that type of money, you better have your scripts and dialogues ready to go to convert that business. Or again, going and paying for Facebook leads, but you never check your command to see if you got any leads, right? It can be a waste of time. So that's the difference between prospecting and marketing. Immediate results, right? I'm going to find somebody today, and or long-term results is that farming idea of like multiple mailings. We're going to get it there at some point. Database is a container that holds the information for your leads and contacts. Smart database allows you to have a planned and meaningful communication with your database. So if you have them in there, they're organized. Now we can go ahead and start the smart plans and some of that communication, but we only do that if they are organized from there. Relationships must be attended to, cared for, and cultivated. If I could spin my screen around, one of my big hobbies is I'm a big vegetable gardener. I have a huge garden in my backyard. Leads are just like seeds, okay? At the end of the day, if you don't water them, if you don't give them sunshine, they're never going to bear fruit. All right. So if you go plant a seed and then walk away from it for 6 months and come back and expect to have a deal, that's never going to happen, right? Or you might get lucky. But like that's not the way to do it. So I think it's just super important to understand that those leads have to be cultivated from there. All right, wrapping up here. Types of communication. We have phone calls, we have email, text messages, face-to-face, KW app, handwritten communication. My agents right now are telling me that they're getting the biggest conversion in responses on Facebook Messenger or direct DMs on social media. All right, when I started this business, they would have laughed at me if I tried to count a text or a social media direct message as a contact. That is the way it is right now, though. I feel that. I get more responses on that type of communication sometimes because people are always on the apps. Okay, so if you text somebody and they don't answer, and you call them and they don't answer, but they answer on social media, stay on social media, right? Meet your clients where they are. Don't skip communication methods because you feel like that's what you want to do, right? You got to go meet the customer where they are. And if they're engaging in a certain way, keep that communication going. Sam, go ahead.
Is there, with the whole AI world coming up right now, is there anything that's, I mean, since you've been in the market for longer than I have, anything with AI having to do with generation lead that's sort of given a new revolutionary step in the market?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of crazy AI stuff coming, right? I think it's going to enhance our business. I think it's going to enhance our ability to serve our customers while they're living in their house, right? Like when they need to change filters and appliances and lots of things like that. But yeah, no, there's a lot of good AI that can engage your database maybe while you're not available. But I don't think, I mean, we're seeing like virtual robot agents who are like having appointments. I don't believe in that stuff. Like you got to be there. But I think there's tools probably that enhance your communication methods with other people. Yep. I don't think you said it right. And again, I love AI. AI is a tool for you, not a replacement. If you go to AI, though, if you go to ChatGPT and put in there, give me some ideas around lead generation. It's going to spit some great stuff out at you, right? Give me some ideas around pop buys for my clients in April. It'll give you some amazing ideas. So use it, but you still have to go do the work.
Yeah,
Okay,
honestly,
categorize.
today
Yep, go ahead.
somebody gave me this whole mind jogger or memory jogger, and it's just awesome to be honest. It makes you think of so many designations and random people that pop up in your head just to reach out to.
For sure. We've already hit a couple of these here. Categorizing your sphere: immediate family, friends, relatives, neighbors, past coworkers, hobbies, teachers, worship club, volunteer, professional services, financial, legal, personal, home auto, real estate agents. Just some ways to categorize. This is about trying to jog in your brain about who you know that may not be in your phone or that you want to bring over into your database. I was taught, that you can still find them around every once in a while, but like the old white pages or yellow pages activity was yellow pages shows you different occupations, right? Like A to Z. And as you flip through that, it'll trigger your brain as to like, who's an electrician that I know? Who's a nurse? Who's an ophthalmologist? Who's a dentist, right? So like you're using these tools to trigger your brain because although you have 1,000 people in your phone, it's been proven that if I asked you to take 30 minutes and write down every name you know, you're going to cap out at about 250 names on that sheet of paper. So you need to trigger your brain to remember some of these people that you have relationships with. All right, building your sphere of influence every day. Talked to an agent the other day and they said like, yeah, I didn't do any lead gen today. I said, where'd you get all your deals from? And they said, I got it from yoga last year. And I said, what'd you do this morning? They said, I went to yoga. I was like, all right, that's your lead gen. That makes sense? So like you're doing it every day. Sometimes you don't realize you're lead generating, but that's where you're going to go meet those people where they are. All right, so it's strengthen your casual connections, join different groups that connect you with people. This is what I do. I love just being involved in things that I enjoy doing. Sailing clubs, gardening clubs, gets me in front of other people. They learn to like me, start having other conversations. We're talking about real estate. They ask a question, I answer, I start to build a relationship. I'm building my business on people I know and the people that they know. Do you know of anyone from family, friends, work, your neighborhood, or a group you belong to who's thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate? I'd be pleased to be a resource for them. That's a script. Scripts you internalize. I'm not saying you have to read that word for word, but you have to understand the point of the script, and then it can come out a little bit more natural from there as well. All right, track your lead sources, meaning if you get a lead inside of Command, you can track where that lead came from. So you can start to see patterns about where a lot of your business is coming from, right? If you're really good at open houses, go do open houses. That's all I did. I did open houses nonstop. Why? Because it put me in front of people that I didn't know who were walking in to meet me, not the other way around. I would do open houses like 3 nights a week, guys. Seriously. Right? I would go look for houses near sports fields and ask the agent, is there any chance I can hold an open house Thursday evening from 5 to 7 so the parents come over and walk through the home while their kids playing t-ball? I was so strategic around open houses because it gave me the chance to go talk to those vendors and have that vendor table, and that became my entire business. Diversify your database, meet people from all over. One of the things right now is that we're in a marketplace where people that don't need to sell or don't need to buy aren't. Does that make sense? When everyone got their COVID money, when everyone got a big financial windfall and people are buying and upgrading and bigger house and vacation home, that's one thing. But in a market like this, right, people that need to sell are ones that are having babies. Kids are moving out. People need to downsize. I think they call it like the D's of real estate, right? Death, divorce, diapers, diplomas, something along that line. Who do you know from Facebook that has a kid that's getting ready to graduate high school this year and is posting about it? Prom, senior year, can't believe it. My baby's getting bigger and older. Okay, well, do they have any more kids behind them? Or is that going to be an empty nester that maybe wants to move down to South Carolina? You need to know that. And if you're not paying attention to those little things, I think you're kind of missing the point of tracking your database and finding out what's important to them. You asked about AI tools. I know of AI tools right now that are data scraping college rosters and will alert you if one of the people in your database has a kid that's now shown up on a college roster, they may be more likely to sell. Okay. Be consistent. I think it's the biggest thing that we had talked about. This is what we're going to end on. And this came up earlier, which is protect your time blocks. Build a bunker, store provisions. Like, no joke, guys. Like, everybody see my pitcher of water I have here? I've almost drank this whole thing since we've been on the call. Surprised I haven't had to take a break. You can't get in the flow of lead gen and then go like weed your garden and come back. Okay. Like, when you start talking and you get into a flow, you got to keep going. Right. So build a bunker. That just means like close the door, have a place where you can go and make phone calls. Right. Store provisions, meaning just like have your snacks and stuff here. Don't go to the kitchen and start emptying the dishwasher. That's about like, I don't really want to lead gen. I want to empty the dishwasher. Right. Sweep for minds, meaning like no email up. Right. No social media on your phone. Stop watching Netflix. Okay. Like, put your head down and say, I want to contact 30 people in the next hour. I'm either going to dial, I'm going to text, whatever it's going to be, but do that activity. I'm telling you right now, if you did the lead gen activity, you will make it in this business. There is no agent that comes to me and says, I didn't make it happen. And then I say, how was your lead gen? They go, I just didn't want to do it. I don't like it. I'm scared of it. Okay. Best of luck to you. All right. You got to do it. And enlist support, meaning get some buddies. I saw Michelle and Jared jumped on here earlier. I'm not sure if they're still on here. We were partners back when I started in real estate in that Greenbrier office. And we had a room that we called the bullpen. And we would get in there together as a group and we would hit our lead gen and we would say, hey, I just got an objection that was around this. Does anybody know how to answer that? And Michelle would chime in and go, here's how I answer that. And then Jared would jump in and he would say, that's how I answer that. Okay, I see Serenity's here from there, right? Michelle's now the team leader. Jared's now the broker. And I'm an OP of multiple market centers. Like, find your group, work together. Big things can happen from there. So enlist support. I think that's a great idea. Right? Ahas to achievement, right? Maybe how's your brain spinning right now? How are you thinking about lead gen? Again, it's not just about expireds and FSBOs. It's not just about cold calling. All of those are great sources. I used to look for expireds, not anywhere in my marketplace. I look for expireds between my office and my house because I would go knock on the door. Because every other agent is making a phone call that morning to that expired listing because that's a big strategy in our business, right? If I did call them, I would have to go, hey, Paul, is this your 37th call from a realtor today? Make them laugh, right? Like, this is a conversation. You're trying to build a relationship. Instead, I would go knock on the door and just say, hey, Paul, I know you've probably gotten 100 phone calls today. As you can see, hopefully I'm the only one that showed up here. I do things a little bit differently. I specialize in selling homes, great homes, in fact, that for whatever reason didn't sell the first time. Is there any chance I could talk to you about relisting your home and getting this thing on the market? There are some very key words in that script that are very important. Great home. Paul doesn't want to think his home is not sellable, but it was either a pricing strategy, a marketing strategy that didn't work. I'm here to help him with that. Yep, I love that. So someone else just put in there in terms of their script. Tyler, thanks, man. You're going to hate me. I'm a realtor. You can hang up now or give me 1 minute. Yeah, make them laugh, right? Keep them on the line and keep them engaged. All right, how are your behaviors? How do you feel differently about this? Right? How will your behaviors be different? What tools, models, and systems will you use? All right, so 7:45 went about 10 minutes longer than I wanted to get you guys out of here. But let's finish with a few ahas. What are some things maybe that you heard tonight that you hadn't heard before that are spinning your wheels? The one thing I always tell people is, like, if you get on a call like this and you don't go take a couple of action steps, either tonight or tomorrow, I would have preferred you to go on and like take a walk and got some fresh air. All right, so like tell me some ahas or some action items that you're going to do based on the last hour and a half that we just spent together. All right, so marketing first. Yep, business scripts in the mall. Love that. So a couple things in the chat. Need to clean up my database. Cool. All right, go ahead. Anybody on that wants to jump on the actual line on voice? Go ahead.
Open house app. That was a great idea.
Awesome. Yep. Worked for me.
Going to multiple open houses because they're all over the place, and also just what hobbies and interests we have. And like that one guy, I mean, good Lord, he's joined a bunch of leagues, so
yep.
He's just constantly staying busy. So yeah.
That's it. Yeah, do it. Go. This is supposed to be fun, right? What does BOLD stand for? Business objective, a life by design. So you're supposed to be having fun, not waking up every day and going like, oh, I don't know why I chose this business. I don't want to call people. Like, that's miserable, right? Go do things that you enjoy doing and create business conversations, right? I always use a script all the time. Like, this is my elevator script. If someone's very outgoing and bubbly and I'm just like, I don't know, I want to engage them in a conversation. A lot of times I'll say this. I'll say, man, Paul, you would do great in my business. What's Paul going to say back to me?
It's your business.
Well, what do you do? Oh, I'm an agent. I help people like buy and sell homes here in Chesapeake, Virginia. We're gonna talk. We're gonna engage, right? So there's lots of ways to have that conversation. Tyler, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm definitely going to go talk to some businesses and get some coupons. That's genius. I love it.
Michelle, you're there, right? I just heard you chime in.
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Michelle and I go way, way back. I've the pictures of us from when we were little kids. Do you remember when Dennis Russell took us to the Greenbrier Mall and we walked around and we asked about coupons and flyers about other businesses?
We sure did. I
I
got from as I'm listening at you talk, I think for me, I haven't sold a house in like a year and a half, but I'm constantly getting people still calling me from my database because although I'm not selling, the database is still working itself. It's still working itself.
And
so
it's
it's the
That's
consistency.
You put the work in. Michelle's not going to be opening doors when she's 70 years old. She's going to be enjoying her retirement somewhere. Most retirement parties for agents is their funeral, unfortunately. I'm being serious, right? It's because they don't have a database that they keep up with. I know, Michelle and I know people from our old office that have sold their databases to people and are sitting in, Boca right now getting paid for every closing that happens, right? This is a business. And if you treat it that way, it can be that way.
Yep.
Another thing that I didn't even think about was, like you said, all the new businesses that are coming in the area, even if they just bought a house 2 years ago, but going to that restaurant, what restaurant's not going to want to have you record them and advertise their business? And then, like you said, now you possibly have access to their Facebook page database. It just keeps going. So yeah.
Yeah. Vendor of the month, restaurant of the month, professional of the month, right? Go sponsor a high school student. Like go get involved in your community. That's what we do. We build communities. We just happen to like buy and sell houses, right? So go build the community. The deals will be there. I promise. All right, Haven and Rachel, and then we'll go ahead and end the call.
I absolutely loved the story of you going to the mall and having to ask people for their flyers or for anything like that. And the craziest part is that like I said, I don't live in the biggest like metroplex type town, but so many people, I think we don't realize that as business owners, they would absolutely love to help that. And if you have a table like that at your open house, that's awesome for them because it's free business for them. And I feel like realtors are like the front face of everything for anybody. So that was definitely my favorite part. And that's something that I'm going to enjoy doing, going and messing with all my fun business owners around town and be like, give me some flyers, give me some coupons so I can hand out for them. So
Yep. I just bought into a bounce house company. You know why I did that? I talked to a lady that lives in North Dakota the other day who lives in a very small market. And what she did was she went and rented a storage facility. And in that storage facility, she put bounce houses, snow cone machines, snow blower, chainsaw, like all the things that you might need at your house that you have to go rent from somebody for parties and stuff like that. And she basically gives that out as like part of her value proposition. And on every single thing that goes out is her logo with a QR code to sign up for her database so you get access to that stuff. How crazy is that? She told me last May during graduation season, she had over 87,000 pieces of things that were out and about in her community with her QR code on it. I almost fell off my chair.
you need to tell her to get into the foam machine business.
Whatever it is, go get in the bit. You should go get in the business.
I did it for my senior party when I graduated.
So I'm just saying, like I was at family reunion.
Crazy.
This lady was standing there next to me who's from Arlington, Virginia, and she was like, love to collaborate with you on some lead gen ideas. And I was like, I got 1,100 agents that will put you in their database tomorrow. Let's go blow this thing up, right? And put a little Velcro thing on all your bounce houses. And when an agent books it, we'll go get a little vinyl thing that sticks on the bounce house, and we'll just keep rotating the agents' names around. Yeah, genius.
I listened
Rachel.
to her. I listened to that class. I know exactly what you're talking about. And she's got slushy machines and margarita machines and like every freaking thing. And she even did up the math and she posted it on that class. I think it cost her less than what was it? Less than $7,000 to get all that stuff.
Yeah, like
Am I
she
right?
started, yep, she started small, and then every closing, I think every closing she added something into that group, and that's how she built it out. And now people can go online and they order the stuff and they show up on Saturday and they pick it all up, and then Monday one of her teammates is at the thing and they bring it all back. Like that's her business. One of my agents in Greenbrier in my Fairfax Gateway office, his name is Joe Detter. He drives around every Saturday and does dump runs. That is his entire business. He has a trailer, a big truck. He tells the entire community every Saturday, I'm picking stuff up, leave it by the curb. And then guess what? If someone shows up to my house and keeps taking mattresses and refrigerators for me that I don't have to worry about, and I'm going to sell my house, who do you think is at least on the short list of who gets to list my home? The guy who's been helping me out every Saturday so I don't have to go to the dump. So again, like whatever you do, what works for you is a strategy. Go take care of them. All right, Rachel, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering, are we still like last night's video? Can we get that email to us and the slides?
Yeah, I don't know where they're posted. I know that they do have a YouTube channel typically that they post all the videos to. I'll ask Matt to make sure that he emails you guys that video and then let you know like all the registrants where they can go back and watch the videos. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, because I'm not gonna make it to tomorrow's class. I just want to make sure that I get the information tomorrow.
Gotcha. Cool. I did put in the chat there, guys. My email address is just Kyle Holleran, my full name @kw.com. So if you ever want to email me, let me know where you are. Tell me I was terrible, or collaborate on some of the ideas we shared today. I'd love to help you. Go ahead, Roman. Why don't you go ahead and finish this out, my man?
Yeah, so somebody in the chat mentioned about open house. So there's a lot of agents, especially the more successful in your market center, that don't have time to do an open house, but need to, or their client would like to. Just tag along, volunteer. You can take it over completely and just, talk to the buyers that are unrepresented and pretty much have some leads from there. Also, it's a safety concern. If your agent for marketplace is doing an open house, but alone, just being there for them during the day, it's nothing out of ordinary because it could be a big traffic, especially if it's a lady, might need some help. You want to be present there. With some people might get sometimes weird in the basement with weird questions, so it's also a safety concern. You never know.
For sure.
So being a more than one person at an open house, it's fine. You can learn a lot. What else?
Yeah, someone
If
put in
you
the chat.
don't
I saw they.
ask,
Go ahead,
yeah,
Roman.
go
Sorry.
ahead. You were saying something?
No, I was saying like someone put in the chat there a little while ago. I might have just lost my train of thought for a second. Oh, don't be a secret agent. Open houses for me was like my retail location. If I'm like sitting in my office, like who's walking in there, right? But like if I have a sign out there, I can sit at someone's kitchen table and answer my emails. I don't need to be in my office sitting next to Michelle to do that.
And
so number
probably
one is like, if you go to the MLS, look for those listings that you can partner. And as a top agent, people think that the top agents are going like, hey, who wants to hold my open? No, they're busy. Go to them and say, hey, Michelle, can I hold your house open on Saturday? And they're probably like, oh, thank God, because my client's been blowing me up. Even better, there's a vacant listing that one of your agents has, like one of your co-agents. Can I hold that open Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday? Like, I'll go sit there. I have a better chance of meeting people sitting at the kitchen table than I do sitting in my office, like not doing anything, right? Like, so go double up. Vacant listings to me was awesome. I used to love going into those different properties. Okay. 7:56. I lied. Stuck with me, but thank you guys all so much for being with me tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. Got something out of it. It looks like from the comments that you guys did. This is an amazing company. Lean into each other. You're in the right spot. Let me tell you that. I've been with this company for 15 years. And I would not be in any other place. So especially for where you are in your career and beyond that, like dig into the network a little bit. Go watch the videos on Connect inside of Command. There's such good information there. Thank you for joining me. Go build your database a little bit and have a great night. It was great meeting everybody, and thanks for spending some time with me.
Hey, Kyle.
Hey, Kyle.
Lady's name.
Yep. No problem. What's that? Go ahead.
Kyle, have a good night, everyone.
Do you remember that lady's name that had all that stuff for for use or whatever?
I don't remember the name off the top of my head. I'll have to go find it, and if I can get it to you guys through an email or something, I'll send it to you. She's in North Dakota, I believe, and I think it's something called like the Home Vendor Network or something. I'll have to go find it, but I don't know it off the top of my head.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't remember it either.
Okay.
Hey, Kyle, I just sent to you directly through the chat. 'Cause I missed yesterday's and I wanted to hear the recording. How do I go back and listen to that one?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna let Matt know. I'm gonna ask him to send out the recording from yesterday, or at least give you guys instructions about how to go watch those or where they're hosted. Because I don't know that answer and I don't want to make it up.
Okay, thank you. Awesome today. Wow, talk about tons of, there's like no excuse not to be talking to somebody. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, listen, be positive, right? Be optimistic. If you're not going to be that way in this business, you're already shot. So like, be positive, attract people because of your energy. And if you do the right thing by people, I think it comes back.
Well, I like what you said about just have fun with it. I mean, if you're doing something you're enjoying, hobbies or interests, then this is going to come natural. So thank you.
You're very welcome. Thanks for joining tonight. Any final thoughts, questions? Go ahead and jump off when you're ready. I'll stick on for just a minute in case anybody has any last questions they want to ask. But if you're ready to go ahead and jump off and have a good night.
Apply what you learn. Apply what you learn. Don't be a professional student.
Go do it. Again, I'd rather you taking a walk tonight probably than be here and not do anything with it.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. All right, guys. Everyone have a good night. I'll talk to you soon.